What's up, guys? So we are going to talk about RUROUNI Kenshin episode 17 of the new 2023 series, but before I talk about it, I want to mention something that I was going to talk about last week, completely slipped my mind, and then inevitably I had a bunch of comments in the video asking about the thing that I was going to address, but I didn't. You know, sometimes I don't write notes out before I start recording and I just go on rant. So the thing is, the English dub of the new RUROUNI Kenshin 2023 series is now out. It's now available. They are also dropping the episodes weekly, so as of the recording of this video, there's only 2 episodes so far of the English dub. Now, I watched episode 1. I did not watch episode 2, but I'm going to give you kind of like my brief thoughts on it. First of all, I do want to say that as a longtime Kenshin fan, as you guys know, as I reiterate in all of these videos, you know, I watched the 90s Kenshin anime religiously for, you know, decades at this point. So it's really, really hard for me to disassociate how I hear those characters in my head. Because even when I read the Kenshin manga, I'm hearing, you know, the voice actors from the 90s Kenshin anime. But I also think it's interesting because the original Kenshin series that came out, there is like different voice actors for the English dub between the actual series and Samurai X. And I also thought I would take this opportunity, do something a little bit different in this video, do a different thing in the review, and show you my very small, you know, Kenshin collection of what I have. So I actually have on DVD. Now, they don't sell these anymore. These are now out of print, so these are really hard to find. You can pretty much only find these on eBay or online sellers, or if you know, find some kind of you know, video store somewhere that sells older media, they have these. But I actually have the original series, RUROUNI Kenshin Season 1 and Season 2. And you may notice I do not have Season 3. And I distinctly remember back in the day, you know, I wanted to have Season 3 to complete the collection, but Season 3 is all filler. And, you know, these were expensive even back then, and I was a lot younger. You know, the money to buy these things was not easy to come by. You know, I guess I could try to ask my parents, you know, for Christmases and stuff like that. But, like, you know, it wasn't easy to come by, so I always put it off, and I never bought Season 3, and now I'll never have it unless I, you know, pay a ridiculous amount on, like, eBay prices or find it for a good price, but I do have Seasons 1 and Season 2. So these all have consistent voice actors the entire way through, but then there's also the Samurai X OVAs, and these are technically within the Kenshin well, this is in the Kenshin canon. Reflections is... well, that's kind of its own. We'll just throw that over there. We'll talk about that another day. But Samurai X, Trust and Betrayal. And I really do think that this is an essential piece of media for any Kenshin fan. Now, if you're very, very new to the Kenshin series, I would say hold off, because this is basically the Kenshin backstory, which you will get in this new anime eventually. It's going to be a long time, but you will get it eventually. So you could watch this now, but it's going to spoil a lot of aspects of Kenshin's character that if you're watching it for the first time, you want to have kind of slowly revealed to you over time. But these Samurai X and the 90s series were done by different companies, so they actually have completely different voice casts. So I already have 2 different Kenshin voice actors, 2 different Saito voice actors, you know, and so on. So it's really interesting that was a thing. I don't know. This got, you know, the rights. I made a video about it at one point. When I was explaining all the different Kenshin animes that exist out there. But, you know, these are the crown jewel. And I'm really happy to have these, you know, but I really wish that they would release like a new kind of updated Blu-ray set. I don't know who owns the rights to all those right now, but it would be really nice, because it's never been released on Blu-ray or, you know, 4K or any kind of the newer system. So it would have been really, really nice to have some kind of like updated, newer Kenshin box set of the complete original 90s series, you know, on Blu-ray or something. So if anybody's out there that can make that happen, you got connections, you know people, make that happen, because that I probably will drop money on. But regardless, back to my original point, the new English dub is not using either of the voice casts from the original Kenshin series or Samurai X, completely new voice cast. And I will say, based only on the first episode, which I know that as the episodes goes on and they'll get more time to invest in their characters and they'll be able to do probably a better job as time goes on. I will say that the actor they picked for Kenshin, I think he's fine. There wasn't anything phenomenal about him in the first episode, but I thought he was fine. You know, give him some time, give him, you know, this whole season, and I think that he'll be he'll be fine as time goes on. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be good. Kaoru's voice, I didn't have a problem with at all. I thought Kaoru sounded fine. The one I had an issue with, though, is probably my favorite character, which is Saito. And you don't get to see much of him. You only see him in the very, very beginning of episode 1. But I just thought his voice was way off base. I thought his voice was way too deep, that they were trying to make him seem like an evil character. And, Saito is not evil. In fact, he's basically like, well, I don't want to spoil anything, I guess, for people. But the tone that you want to get with Saito is more of like, a really high level of confidence. You don't want him to sound dark, evil, and menacing. You want him to sound like he knows his shit and he knows what he's doing and he's proficient at it. So he has this kind of like, not monotone, but he has this very just high level of confidence in his voice. And I didn't sense that from the English dub. And I really hope that they work on that by the time they actually introduce him into the series. So with that all out of the way, let's talk about this actual episode now, finally, which adapts chapters 42, 43, and 44 from the manga. And does so, pretty accurately like before. I mean, I don't really have any problems about the accuracy of the manga or of the anime adaptation or anything like that. I think they're doing a really, really good job at it. This episode was basically kind of to showcase who Raijuta really is deep down, and that he sees, the legacy of swordsmanship and how things used to be, and wanting to put things back to their authentic, way of being. But Kenshin, as a man who has gone through the war, as a man who has killed lots of people in the past, has, since taken up a vow not to kill people, he can see right through Raijuta. And he knows that Raijuta has never actually killed a person. And it's this thing that I think is very prevalent in lots of media, too, where it's prevalent as a theme in Vinland Saga, where you romanticize this idea of warriors and battles and combat and, how great it could really be, the honor, the glory, bringing it back to the old days. But people that have actually gone through war and violence and seen violence firsthand, had violence inflicted on them, inflicted violence on other people, they understand the horrors of violence and therefore want to avoid it at pretty much all costs, unless they just get so, sucked into that whirlwind of darkness that they basically become nothing other than a murderer. And that's the two directions you saw with Kenshin and Janae. Whereas Kenshin has kind of overcome this and he wants to try to fight for a better world. Janae, completely, submitted himself to that bloodlust and carnage, and that became just who he was. He was just the straight up murderer, right? And that's why, he saw in Kenshin, and he was just like, you're going to be a manslayer till the day you die, because that's what he was. That's what he committed himself to. And when you go through that amount of darkness and carnage, you have to eventually pick a road to follow. And Raijuta has never gone down there, and Kenshin can see right through him. He can dodge all of his attacks. Yeah, his attacks are good. His swordsmanship is good. He's a good swordsman, but he's going up against Kenshin, so, fuck, it doesn't matter there. But Kenshin even recognizes this. Like, your techniques are great. They're solid. You're a good swordsman, but you are fighting for something that you don't even understand. You've never been there. You've never even been through it. And I love when Raijuta holds up Yahiko, and he's like, I'll kill him. And Yahiko, this is another great episode for Yahiko. And I was always saying that, I think that as far as like kid characters go, like a lot of times I really hate kind of like the kid sidekick character, but Yahiko is a huge exception because he continues to have this great development throughout the course of the series. And we're only at the we're only getting breadcrumbs of it right now. It gets really good later on. But I love how Yahiko is just like, go ahead and do it. Do it, because I'm not going to bow to you. I'm not going to submit to you, so go ahead. And Raijuta couldn't do it. He couldn't bring himself to kill somebody. And then, Kenshin obviously kicks his ass and kind of like reiterates that to him. Kind of breaks him down, breaks down his spirit, breaks down his pride, kind of shows him for what he really is. And what he really stood for is not anything that he actually understands himself. It's just this abstract like idea in his head, right? So one thing I really like about that also is that they added a scene at the end of the episode where Raijuta's like, I will kill somebody. And then he breaks down and starts falling into tears. It's done differently in the manga. They don't quite have that scene happen at the end. So when I saw that scene, I was like, where are they going to go with this? Because I know that Raijuta, sorry, minor spoiler, but he never shows up again the rest of the story. So I'm like, what are they what are they attempting to do here? But after the moment happened and he fell to his knees and started crying, like, I was like, all right, I get this. Another great thing with Yutaro too, kind of showing Yahiko's character development, where Yutaro is going to move to Germany, and Yahiko doesn't want him to give up his desire for swordsmanship. It's like, okay, you can't use your right arm, you can use your left arm. Like, become the man that you saw Raijuta as, like, not the real Raijuta, but the man that you saw, like the hero that you imagined him to be. Since that hero doesn't actually exist, you could be that hero. You could grow up to be that hero. And I think that that's a really good kind of message to leave on, and sort of that inspiration of, like, maybe your heroes aren't what you thought they were, but they could still inspire you, and you could still become, the better version of them in the future. So I thought that was really cool. Other than that, okay, so now, again, not really spoiler. I'm just kind of letting you know a little tease of what's to come. So we have one more little segment that is technically in the first arc of Kenshin. You can really break Kenshin down into 3 arcs. You have the Wandering Swordsman arc, the Kyoto arc, and the Jinshu arc. Wandering Swordsman is the shortest, and it's comprised of a lot of, like, mini segments, like Kenshin versus Janae, the Oniwaban group, the Raijuta segment. It's like all these kind of like little mini arcs, right, in one. The Kyoto arc and the Jinshu arc are both one solid long story, and they're like twice as long as the Wandering Swordsman. So Wandering Swordsman arc has one more little story to tell, featuring Sanosuke. They can probably get it done in one episode because it's only 3 chapters long, but it's really good. And I think it's a good kind of finale for that arc. And then we will begin the Kyoto arc, where I believe that, like, the last, couple episodes, last 5 or 6 episodes of this first season will be. So excited for that. And once the Kyoto arc starts, it's going to suck when the season ends, right in the beginning of it. And then we got to wait who knows how long for season 2. But I'm excited for it. Anyways, if you guys have watched this episode, what do you think down below? What do you think of the English dub, if you watched the first episode or anything like that? And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming back time and time again for the Kenshin reviews. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think down below. Thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up and a comment. I'll talk to you next time.